And another 15 minutes later, he came back and says, the letter from Sonia or something. No, Guruji, there is no letter from Sonia. So he leaves. Then we look again and comes for the third time. The letter from Sonia. And then finally, somebody pulls out of a, basket. There was a letter from Sonia. So see, he knew there must see this lady had connected, because at the time we didn't have MSM or WhatsApp. That lady had connected with him and said, Gurudev, I need you, whatever. So he knew the letter is in that pile and we couldn't find it. He always knows in advance.
Any other stories from Ashram you would like to share?
It's from that time. Wow. It was the old meditation hall. At the time, there was no flooring. It was sand, only sand.
Oh.
So we sat on the sand. There was covers. There was some covers on the sand. And I remember that we had to run. My stay was somewhere where the Kutirs are now, Krishna Kutir, and all these Nandi. They were smaller, not so nice, Sidi, Ridi, these Kutirs. And we had to run in the morning, because if we were late and there was no path at the time, it was on the stones and the hills and everything. So me running to reach on time, my heart is beating if I miss. But never, it was only us, our devotion. So there was TTC1. We used to eat in the old kitchen. It was a beautiful time. The ashram was very small, and Gurudev spent a lot of time with us because he didn't have so many occupations and preoccupations and so many visitors like he has now. And then once I finished, a few months later, he invited me to come to Canada for the TTC2 because they were TTC1. So maybe within a year, I became a teacher from having taken the program. So and then I started the foundation in Latin America, and we grew. Being a journalist, I was able to contact the media and everything. And he used to come very frequently because he had more time. He used to come every 2 years, stayed at my house. You cannot imagine the stress of having him. I would need 7 long kriyas after he had gone. The stress when you are preparing your home for his visit. Everything has to be clean, tidy up, picked up. Of course, my room emptied out completely. We painted for him, new painting, new shower curtain. Then he comes and the paint is stinky chemicals. Imagine, because we just painted the day before thinking that it would be very fresh, and it was such a terrible smell. And the curtain, the plastic, the curtains can smell very, very strong. So we had to take the curtain out. We had to change the bed and put him by the window, open the windows. It was such a stress, but so beautiful. At the time, there were so many, 20 devotees or so lived with me. So it was like a small urban ashram. And I recommend to everybody to make urban ashrams, to just live together, eat together, work together, and have devotion together. We would sit, imagine in Argentina, many of these boys who are now leaders in Latin America, they didn't know him yet. They'd never met him. But we sang bhajans, and one bhajan would be going for 20 minutes, and everybody screaming aloud, not like, some singers are singing and the others are listening. No. Singing, rate, rate, and we would go on and on and on. We were crying, and the presence was so strong, and we are 40,000 kilometers away, 80,000 miles away, and he'd never met them physically. It is really so beautiful. Then we would travel, say, let's go to Boone, Ashram or Canada, and 20 of us, 25 of us would go together. I never go into the kutir until everybody is allowed in. making sure that every single one goes and gets the flavor of being close to the master and being at his feet and in silence and just, laughing and playing and crying. So it is magic to have a master alive. It is very precious. I don't know what we have done in the past. I think I must have cleaned in hospitals, in convents. I must have been many times a beggar to be able to put my eyes on his face. You know, it is such a precious. And you guys in India, you have him around the corner. We have to, some people sell the mattress. Some people sell their beds to be able to come. I have loaned my savings to so many to be able to go and meet him. And you have him around the corner and you miss out. So you tell Digvijay, tell every single one that they should have the experience of meeting the master alive. There are many masters. I went around the world 367 days by myself, looking for him still. And I went to the Sai Baba ashram because he was known in Argentina. Gurudev was beginning. I went in one door, visited, and out the door in a couple of hours. Somehow the Deva said, wrong ashram, Beatriz, you are devotee of Shri Shri. I didn't know. So I'm sure there are very many wonderful people like Sai Baba has been wonderful for so many and many, many masters. But there are only a few who have reached the level at the top. And these people, 450 million people that we have touched in the world. Imagine me, my whole family is against. What is this? You're a Catholic. What is it following a guru around the world? You're crazy. And all of that is just, wild for us in Latin America. But once you realize what it is, so you guys in India, start telling that instead of 20 million, it should be 200 million.
Then I think your husband also, when you're talking about your family now, so your husband also met Gurudev in Germany for the first time, right? Is that correct?
Yes, he met him. Both of us traveled. He uh, followed me everywhere where I went, and he said, Beatrice, I envy your faith. And he says, because my intellect, he had studied, he was an engineer, civil engineer. He was in constructing and land developing and, building. And he had studied Oriental studies, that's the second degree and another degree. So he was in the left brain. So he couldn't feel the same like I was feeling because I just went with my heart. I don't need any more explanation. I just want to be there. And he said, I envy you. So my husband was older than I, and we were, running behind him. There's a waterfall near the ashram in Germany, and he would be ahead of us taking photos of the little group, Gurudev, myself, and other followers. Maybe at the time, 40, 50 would go behind in Germany. And I said, he thinks he's a baby. And then he looked at me and he said, the body has its timing. I didn't know what he meant, but very soon after that, we were going to a course in Germany, and we'd been climbing the Andes, the Alps, the mountains in Switzerland with my family from Spain, and we were going to the part 2 course. And we stopped at my friends in Germany where I, lived for 2 years and studied German. And that night he called me, the night before the course. I said, let's go to bed because the course started, the Germans start everything very early, even before the Indians. And he said, oh, let's stay. And he was talking about the stars and the moon, telling us something about the universe. And I said, come, let's go to bed because tomorrow we have the course. I dragged him to bed, and that night he called me and said, Beatrice, I don't feel good. Take me back to Switzerland. So I was driving at 160 miles per hour with the phone, even though it's prohibited, calling for a clinic, and he was lying on the back, and I would say, breathe, breathe, Ludovico, breathe. And he would, and that night we went to the clinic and he passed. And I called Gurudev. I said, and he said, Beatrice, everything will be fine. Don't worry. I said, they want to give him morphine. And he said, no need. Everything will be taken care of. Where are you? I said, in Lausanne, in Switzerland. And there was nobody to hold my hand. I was alone in a foreign country, and my master 600 kilometers away. But I had such peace. He helped me going through this, losing my husband in a foreign country from one moment to the other, in such peace that I have only gratitude. I was able to, farewell from my husband and ask him forgiveness if I'd done things that made him crazy, or if I had said something which was not correct. And then I sat and meditated next to him. And the following morning, I left the body there. I went to see Gurudev, driving alone 500 kilometers. And then, he blessed me, and then came back again to do the rest of the things.
Having a master in life is such a big support, isn't it?
Such is to me, is not only the master. He's my dad, he's my mom, he's my partner, he's my friend. I don't need anything. I only need him. And I come to reach him and he taps me like this. And I've got for another 10 years, another 10,000 people, another 10,000 courses, another never stopping, the energy I have from morning to evening, it's all from his one tap, like this. So I go and say, oh, Guruji, you have to tap me. I go down like this and he just taps me. I come out flight, take the flight to Latin America, go to Mexico, go to Ecuador, go to Peru, teaching, and so happy. I have taught presidents of countries, I have taught prisoners. I don't mind teaching breathwater sound, TTC, whatever I have to teach, I teach. It is now just transmitting this what I've said before, that he's alive, that we have a darshan, Sudarshan, Kriya. That is, we can meditate, but I think Sudarshan Kriya is the alarm, when I put this morning to record with you, the alarm clock, like this. So beautiful.
You also went to, yeah,
To Rishikesh.
you're saying, yeah, Rishikesh.
Yes, I
Okay,
went to Rishikesh. This was a terrible trip because Gurudev
is
has to give you whatever you deserve. So I called Prayapad, Prashant, he was Prayapad. Then I called, I don't know, whoever was at Ashram asking for permission for my birthday to go to Rishikesh. So then, nobody would tell me. At the time there'd been a problem with this, the opium smokers. I think 2 foreigners had disappeared, whatever. Anyway, it is my birthday, and my husband said, what do you want for your birthday? I said, I want to go to see Gurudev. So he gave me the ticket. So I left, reached Gurudev. I had no clue, where is the ashram, where is he? But I am so intrepid that I didn't mind. I have slept with Afghans in the tents, in Afghanistan. So look, I went from one door to one door, asking and looking, and then I entered the ashram. This is it. So I asked, is Gurudev here? They said, oh, this is the ashram, but he's at the river. So I go to the river by myself, and he's swimming with 2 or 3 people. So I noticed that this is not the time for one lady to be there. So I waited, and then he's walking back, and I'm standing there, he's coming, and he said, what is your program? And now I know that he says, what is your program? So I said, Gurudev, it's my birthday. And he said, aha, good. Then he leaves. And then uh, we go to the kutir in the morning or evening, and there'll be 30, 40 people waiting. And he climbs the steps down. There was a kutir with on the upper floor, and there's somebody next to him. He was in charge of the ashram at the time. And Gurudev spots me, and he goes to this guy and says something in Hindi. And this guy comes to me and starts scolding me. What are you doing in Rishikesh? You didn't go to the police. You didn't register. Why you should you have to get permission to come to this place and blah blah blah. I said, but I asked the ashram so many times. And he scolded me in front of everybody so heavily. I said, yes, I did go to register in the ashram. So then he scolded me again in the evening. Normally he would allow me to come to the kutir. I'm standing. No, nothing. So I go. Next day is my birthday. And Gurudev always says that birthdays. So I've gone to the village to buy these Indian sweets, the triangles that have the silver thing on the top. Very, very sweet and very delicious. I had bought 2 boxes to share with the people, these sweets. And I'm sitting there in the first row on my birthday with the 2 boxes. And that day, he didn't say birthdays. So he looked at me and he went back. He finished the satsang. I was so disappointed with the 2 boxes. I went to this one American lady. I said, let's eat the sweets. And we ate 1 kilo of those. We couldn't eat the 2 boxes because it's too many, but we had stomach full indigestion from eating so many kilos. Nothing. What happened? I don't know why he had to be like this to me. If he had not scolded me or been like this to me, maybe the devas would have gotten me into some other trouble. So now, this I know now, but at the time, I was so surprised and so shocked. Finally, the last day, he allowed me to come into the kutir, but I opened my mouth and he said, I'm busy. And he would just, let me know that I am not to be taking time from him. And it was a very, very sad birthday. It was a very sad birthday, but I learned my lesson. Whatever it was, I don't know. And then when I was leaving, he went to look for a shawl and he gave me a beautiful green woolen shawl, put it on my shoulders and said, Happy birthday. And I left back. But it wasn't, like this tapping. No.
So even such incidences when you came all the way from America to meet Gurudev in Rishikesh, and the purpose was to celebrate your birthday, but it didn't go well as per how you wanted it. How do you take it? What's your lesson or takeaway from it?
I know that if he was like this to me, this I know now, I had to learn something, whether it is that permission has to be given in writing or that it is the incorrect time. There is a time for everything, and I didn't know. So there must be a reason why he's behaving like this. I don't know. I never asked him, and I don't know. But, I thought I can do anything, because I said to my husband, I'm going around the world, and off I went. I managed a newspaper to give me the ticket, and I had this fat of a ticket to go around the world. So anything. I went to Antarctic on the icebreaker. So maybe he was teaching me that don't push. There is sometimes you cannot do everything. So I don't know the story, but I know that he's there teaching me a lesson, and I took it graciously. That's all. But I was looking forward to have another occasion. Yeah, and I'm now dying thinking that when is the next time? I had a ticket to go and see him for Guru Purnima in Germany. I lost my ticket, and I'm just thinking, oh, hopefully they can leave it open so that I can come and see him again, because that too few seconds of putting my eyes on his eyes is precious, very, very precious, very precious. There is one story which is not mine. It is from the Italians, but I want to tell this story because it is very unique. And I feel as though I have been one of them. And God knows if I'd been one of them. We took him to the catacombs. You know, the catacombs are the places
No.
where the Christians hid when Christ was alive, and Gurudev said Vyasa had taken body uh, in Jesus. When Christ was alive, the people went crazy like we are now for him. And the Romans said, either you renounce to your master or you will be killed to the lions or you will be sent to the fire or whatever. So the Christians said, no, we will not renounce. And we went in hiding, like in Vietnam, underground cities that I went to also, hiding from the war bombs and everything. So they went hiding, and many lived there. They gave birth in the catacombs, and they died in the catacombs. Many of them out of hunger and no water, and lived in the catacombs for many, many months, even years. So many souls, died because of they love to the master. So we took him. It's now a place that you visit, like people visit the concentration camps in Poland or Russia. We took him